The topic for today is stress. Stress. We have this scenario here where a hippopotamus is chasing a man. So what is happening here? We have an immediate threat for the man. The man will respond, his body will respond, and this is what we call the fight or flight response. This is a characteristic of the stress situation, and in this case we call it acute stress. It is a physiologic response. In other words, we could say it's a normal response for this type of activities or events. It is mediated by a hormone called adrenaline, and adrenaline will make our heart rate increase. It will cause shallow breathing because we're breathing fast. Blood is redirected to major organs involved in the stress response, and muscles tense. When we talk about stress, we need to talk about the stressors, because it's not easy to define stress, so we prefer to look into the elements that cause, or factors that cause stress, and it's called the stressors. According to the data from the American Institute of Stress, lists the most common sources of stress. This is the future of our nation, money, work, political climate, violence, and crime. As a matter of fact, we can say that stress is nothing else but the response to stressors. Let's analyze the physiological response to stress briefly. We consider that the physiological response is a key factor in mediating the effects of stress. Let's look at this. The stressor will cause a stimulus in the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus will send an alert to the pituitary gland. The gland will respond secreting adrenocorticotropic hormone, or ACTH, which arrives via blood to the adrenal cortex located on top of the kidneys. The adrenal cortex secretes corticosteroids. Basically, the most important is a glucocorticosteroid, and then we'll have the full spectrum of the physiologic response that we mentioned. So now we can talk about chronic stress. If the physiologic conditions persist for some time, it will become chronic. Humans have the ability to experience internal psychological stress generated in our minds without external stressors. It's because our mind is so powerful. It creates images of events or negative ideas, and that potentially activate physiological responses with harmful effects. The persistence of stressors maintains physiological responses longer than normal, leading to a chronic stress condition. We must take into account that we cannot control the stressors we encounter. However, how we perceive them is under our dominion, and consequently how we react to them. We cannot forget that stress is killing people. Chronic stress is considered as the leading cause of premature deaths in our society. Fortunately for us, we have what we call stress management. It's not called a stress cure because there's no specific cure for these. There are no pills for stress. So what we do is manage the stress. How do we manage? We manage the stressors, how we react to them. So in other words, we need to control stress. When you face a stressor, you need to recognize it and deal with it. Do not let stress control your life. If you cannot control stress, it will affect your immune, cardiovascular, and neuroendocrine systems, and your emotions will wreak havoc. We have 5 steps in this presentation to manage stress. We need first to identify our stressors. What causes the most stress in us? We need to make a self-inventory. Maybe there is some things in our past that may cause stress in the present. Our beliefs may affect how we react to stress and how we approach stress. So we need to realize that we have a stress resilience. That means the capacity to adapt to a change. We need to learn about strategies to prevent stress. We have mental and emotional skills that can help us to change what we perceive as a stress. And also we have proven methods to help in our stress situation. Some techniques like breathing imagery, music therapy, etc. We can review briefly 3 of those methods to manage stress. The first one is the mental imagery and visualization. The power of our brain is so outstanding that we can make mental pictures of almost anything real or unreal. Imagination used in a positive way could be a valuable instrument for healing emotionally and physically. Conversely, it would also cause disease if we look it into a negative way. Another technique we have is a progressive muscle relaxation. This is based on the theory of psychobiological state or neuromuscular hypertension. It is well known that our muscle responds to perceived stress threats with tension or contraction, and tension has become the most common symptom of stress. PMR is an effective and well accepted strategy for stress relief. It creates a deep relaxation state alternating tension and relaxation of muscles. PMR is being used every day to treat tensional and migraine headaches, backaches, but also psychological conditions such as depression, anxiety, insomnia, and also it helps elevate self-esteem. The last one is ecotherapy. A disconnection with nature is making us sick at a fast pace. We have a very serious high levels of stress in our urban societies. Our disconnect from nature has become a serious health problem, and living in urban centers has led to the current epidemics of stress and chronic diseases. Going back to nature to find relief from our fast-paced life is the promise of ecotherapy. The Japanese advise to have forest bathing, which they call Shinrin-yoku, or spend time in the forest. This will help us lower our stress. And thank you very much for listening to my presentation. Thank you.